This is Norman Kissinger. We're Redeeming the Time Brothers Ministries, and I'm coming to you from my front porch office, where I do a lot of my reading and work for my job and devotions out here. And I'd like to just talk a little bit today about the subject of Jesus and politics. And I know that that's a subject that actually has been in discussion the entire 50 years that I've been a Christian, and a discussion that has gone on since the church was founded about how involved the church should be in politics at different levels, and when we should get involved and not get involved. And people have a bunch of different views on that on a lot of different sides. I think the reason that I've been thinking about it a lot this week is because I think in the last 5 years of life, the intensity of the politics, at least here in America, have become so intense that it has become it has come to the forefront again as an argument, and with different people switching sides, taking sides, becoming more politically involved, becoming less politically involved because they feel like that the church shouldn't be, and there's been a lot of movement around this idea of the church and politics in the last 5 years because of the intensity of the issues that are going on in our time. And I believe that very likely we are, to my mind at least, I think we are in some of the most intense political times, probably going back to before World War II, the Great Depression, the Civil War here in America, or the Revolutionary War, before the Revolutionary War. I think we're in some very intense times. And I was a young man during the Vietnam era, and lived through at least the last almost half or the last 1/3 of the Cold War. So and there's been some amazing things that have happened over the years, but it just seems like things are very much more intense today than any other time. And so I for some reason, begin to think a lot about politics and the church, and Jesus and how involved he was. And this thought just kind of came into my mind that, we argue back and forth about whether or not, how much the church should be involved in politics, and, when we should stay out and just focus on the gospel, and when we should just actively be voicing our beliefs of what is right or wrong, so that we have a voice at the table, especially at a table that often tells us we have no right to be there, and will do everything they can to stop us from being at the table and having a voice. And that's going on all the time. I just heard of a ministry that was shut down in Hollywood from being able to have a street meeting / protest that was Christian in nature, and that kind of thing is happening on a regular basis. But then it came to me that there's absolutely no way for the church not to be involved in politics, for one main reason, and that main reason is that Jesus is politics. It finally came to me that Jesus is wherever he shows up in any time or place in history. Of course, even in his own time, the very fact that he was there from the time he was born until after he ascended into heaven, of course, until now, his very life was nothing but politics. It changed the course of the political and social and spiritual and emotional and psychological realms of the world around him. Everything changed. Jesus talks in the scriptures about how that when he didn't come to bring peace but a sword, and that families would be divided, and parents and children and in-laws and people will be divided against each other simply because he is there, and because his presence is so radical that it changes the outcome of the world around us. And so we are going to be affecting politics around us. It's not a matter if we should or we shouldn't. We are because we are simply there. And therefore, I think that I fall on the side that we very much should be actively involved in politics in a lot of different ways, in voting and as well as giving out the gospel. There may be some areas where we, just really don't need to put our 2 cents in as Christians. But I think for the most part, we need to be actively involved in politics. But it finally came to me that it doesn't matter. If we're living the faith of Jesus in our life and we're living the faith of Christ in our life, then we will be affecting the world around us. And because we're doing that, we'll be making a difference if we're doing it effectively. This is Norman Kissinger from Redeeming the Time Brothers Ministries. You just have a great week.